And welcome back to the show. Well, we know that you have been loving the music of The Eternal just recently, so we know that their brand new album is coming out on June the 28th, so we thought tonight, to get to know a little bit more about this amazing new album, we'll actually get Mark from the band on the phone to chat a little bit about this great new album. So welcome to the program, Mark.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. Now, Mark, like I said, our listeners have been enjoying the singles so far off this album. So tell us a little bit about what our listeners can expect to hear on Skinwalker when it comes out on June 28th.
Okay, I guess you've been playing the two or three singles so far, which are kind of the shorter, catchier tunes possibly off the record. The track itself, Skinwalker, is quite dark, but I guess when you hear the whole record, you're going to get some longer tracks and some more proggy kind of stuff as well. So the album kind of takes you on a bit of a journey, I guess. We have those sort of nice breathers of the shorter songs, but yeah, we definitely have some more epic moments in there as well.
So talk us through this album from the very, very beginning. What kind of things were you all talking about before you started to work on this album? Was there things that you wanted to kind of achieve with this album? Were there things that you wanted to explore with this album? What was going on in those early days?
Well, I think a big thing that affected this record is the addition of a new rhythm section, which is also, they're both from Finland, which is a slightly unique situation an Australian band finds themselves in. But yeah, we when we were early in the process of working on, I guess, what would be our seventh record, which is Skinwalker, we lost our drummer after a tour of Europe in 2019, and we were also friends with some of the guys from a Finnish band called Amorphous, and we basically reached out to Jan, who is their drummer and our friend, and asked if he wanted to get involved. And he did, and he actually, not long after, joined the band and became as involved as a sound engineer and a producer. We're all sound engineers in the band, so we also recorded and mixed the record. But yeah, having Jan come in and not long after that, Nicholas Etilavori joining us on bass, who was also formerly from the band Amorphous, that definitely added a new dimension to the sound. So I don't know if there was an intentional like evolution or direction, but I think the addition of these two very professional guys from Europe, helped shape the direction of where the record went and gave it probably a new twist and a new dimension.
So, talk us through that a little bit. Like, what kind of things do you feel that they've brought to this album, and how did it change things?
Well, I think primarily I was, for the longest time, up until about the last record where our guitarist Richie joined, I was the primary songwriter and kind of guider of everything, lyricist, music writer, and I think you'll find a lot of the early material is written by me, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I think when you start getting collaborators, you start to get, new ideas. It starts to become multi-dimensional, and Jan and Nicholas and Richie, all started contributing music, but also were very big on working out the arrangement ideas and the production ideas. And it was never just like, let's do what Mark says sort of thing. Although I'm probably the longest member and the overseer of the kind of, I guess, general vibe of things, those guys were not short of opinions and ideas that I think helped just sort of, make the sound more cohesive and also add other people's ideas. Our drummer Jan is the son of a composer, and he's not only a drummer, but he's a great percussionist and sort of great at bringing these world music elements into the sound. And so it just sort of evolved to be more of a collaborative experience than it had ever been.
Yeah. Was there any hesitation at all because they were based in Finland at all? Like, and how has that changed things for you as a band outside of the obvious things?
Yeah. Well, we our first deal in 2004 was in Finland, and all of our small labels that we've been working with have always been in Finland, and I've been going to Finland pretty consistently for about 20 years now. I've got a lot of friends. It's kind of my home away from home, and it just, I'm sort of into the culture and everything. So it just seemed like kind of a normal thing to try. I mean, we're in the lockdowns. Everyone was at home, so we thought we can get another drummer from here, or we can try and broaden our scope, being that we're a band that likes to play abroad anyway. And so that sort of wasn't a huge stepping stone for us. I mean, initially we hired Jan as session, so when he wanted to join, or it came to be that he was in the band, that's when we've obviously, and the same with Nicholas, who lives in Finland, that we needed to think about how we're going to do things. So obviously we mixed the album together face to face in Finland. We all have our own recording studios, so we're able to record remotely. We're on contact every day. So it's actually more collaborative than when I've had probably members that are sitting right here in the same state as me. So it's sort of we're all very driven, and we obviously, the four of us, got a new record deal together with Raining Phoenix Music in Germany, which is a great step up for us. So there's a lot of momentum and motivation with all four members. And in fact, we've already started writing new material together. And I was over there at Christmas, finishing up, some demos and stuff like that. So, it's not your normal band situation, but it's working remarkably well.
I have to ask, Mark, what is it that you love about Finland, and what is the music scene like over there?
Well, the music scene's probably, the first thing that attracted to me to Finland, because I was a fan of bands, like Amorphous and I love the kind of gothic metal from Finland, like Him and Sentenced, and the list goes on. And I guess I didn't know much about Finland until we got our first record deal there, and it was like, oh wow, what's this place over the other corner of the world? Some bands I like are from here, but I don't know, they're just very down to earth, very straight talking. I think Finns kind of have a saying that they don't really trust people that talk too much, so they're very straight to the point, and I like that. I like the kind of just the sort of loyalty that they have also. And the weather's great sometimes. In summertime, when I was over there at Christmas, it was about minus 25. But it's just like my musical kind of place to be. I mean, Jan's got a studio there, I've got one here, so we spend a lot of time in the studio over there just working on music, and I'm just very comfortable there. It's always just been somewhere I've needed to go back to. And they do have more of a heavy metal culture than we do. They have, Tuska Festival, and, just kind of, bands have more of a shot at a career there, I guess. Not that, it's a little harder in Australia. We're a little isolated in a different way. And we don't really have the network to support our own bands because we're so spread out. So it's always been a little bit harder here. And I don't know, I just kept going back and seeing my friends and making more friends, and doing more stuff over there. And before you know it, half your band is finished. So
yeah. So the new single, When the Fire Dies, it looks at some very, very deep themes of emotions and things like that. Tell us a little bit about some of the themes that you wanted to explore on this album.
Well, I guess people have really responded or been very interested in the lyrics on this record. I guess, I was going through a lot of changes in my personal life, not all great, and then went down into like lockdowns, and was by myself during that period for about the 300 days that Melbourne was locked down. I was also going through some relationship changes and things like that. And I guess that's when I was writing the lyrics. I'd been watching things about this mystical witch doctor Skinwalker thing. that's a Navajo kind of myth now, or folklore. And I haven't used that directly. I'm not really singing about that, but it's basically a creature that changes its form or presents itself in a different way than it really is. And I like that concept, and I sort of took that metaphor for people in your life that kind of, come into your life and appear the way you want them to be, but then they're really something completely different and kind of drain you and, I guess, take away your life force, like concepts of narcissism and emotional vampirism and things like that. But then, of course, concepts of isolation and change and people growing apart and things like that. So, I guess that kind of theme arches over all of the songs on the record.
It feels to me when I was listening to the album that this is an album that a lot of people out there are going to listen to and be able to relate to lyrically. Was that something that you were aware of when you were writing those lyrics?
No, I mean, I've always written introspectively on all of our records. But in maybe some ways I was a bit more direct on this record. I'm not sure, but yeah, it seems no matter what interview I'm doing for which country, people are talking about the lyrics. So, yeah, I guess it's resonating with people. With the Fire Dies particularly, I decided to not dress that. Like, I wanted really simple metaphors that even someone that didn't speak English could understand.
Yeah.
I guess. So that song, was like, I wanted to be really direct, and have really simple metaphors. So in many ways, Fire Dies, Ashes, all that stuff, it's kind of cheesy, but in other ways, it's a really simple metaphor that everyone can understand that something has changed and lost. So I decided to be really direct in that song. And, I think that, judging from, I've done interviews in many, many countries over the last couple of weeks, and it just seems to be people kind of understand what's going on. But that's also a bit difficult because it's lyrics about my life, Yeah. So it's like all of a sudden, oh shit, I've been writing these lyrics for years, but now people are really paying attention to what's coming out of my mouth.
What does that mean to you though, as a songwriter? Like you said it's different, but what does that mean to you as a songwriter that people are understanding and relating to that?
Well, I mean, it's wonderful, man. I've been in this band for 21 years. I'm the longest member of this band. I've been through all its ups and its downs, and making some really cool records and not making the best records and not making good decisions and having good experiences. Like, I've been on the whole roller coaster with this band from day one, and it feels with this record, having a better label or a bigger label behind us, and having people sort of pay attention to what we're singing about. I think as a band that's important to us because we're not singing about mystical things or made up things, and not that there's anything wrong with what you choose to sing about, but we're singing about, real life, and that's always a little bit more personal, or a little bit more like you hold it a bit closer. So if someone is feeling kind of down and relates to what I'm saying, or it helps them feel a bit cathartic or whatever, then, I'm really happy about that.
Yeah. So I know we're running out of time very quickly, but I had one question I really wanted to ask, and that was the guests on this album. Of course, you've got Sammy from Creator, you've got a Tuvian throat singer as well. Tell us a little bit about the guests and how you knew who you wanted to work with on this album.
Well, I mean, this had a lot to do with Jan. When he got involved, he's very much about building the soundscapes and he's very cinematic in his approach to music production. And so, obviously him and Nicholas are good friends with Sammy because he's actually Finnish, even though he's in a German band. So he just happened to be at the studio one day, and Nicholas Jan just said, "Man, can you come? I know you can play the sitar. I've got a sitar over there. Can you come and play the sitar on this song?" And he did. He's a lovely guy, really down to earth. So Sammy added some sitar. I think that was the first guest possibly we had, and the throat singer Albert, he appears. Jan knew him from the Amorphous Queen of Time record. He'd done the throat singing on the song The Beat. So when he heard Skinwalker, he's like, we need a throat singer in here. So he reached out to Albert, and Albert sent him the song, and Albert sent it back. And we had a little bit of death vocal kind of growling stuff sort of in an idea that was going to happen, and I was going to do it, and I did a little bit on the last record. It's not the main thing we do, but we have a little flavour of it, and obviously Tommy J from Amorphous is one of the best death metal vocalists. So I said, Jan, will Tommy come and do a couple of growls? And, Tommy's wonderful. I've met him quite a few times, and he was like, yeah, no problem. And then he just ended up doing all the growling parts on 3 songs. And then we had Centera, who's also an Amorphous, play Hammond on one song. We have Aliane, who's a Dutch girl, and she plays in Celestial Season in the Netherlands. And, yeah, she played cello on When the Fire Dies. And there's probably some more. And one ongoing guest that we always have is a female singer called Emily Sayan. And she is Russian, but she actually lives in Melbourne. But I knew her when she lived back in Russia. And she's sung on about 3 or 4 of her albums. So she contributes some of the female vocal parts. So primarily it's the 4 of us, but it's a 60-minute record, so there's lots of room for little guest appearances.
Definitely. Well, Mark, this has turned out to be an absolutely amazing album. We are going to play the new single, When the Fire Dies, right now on our show. But to finish off, what would you like to say to people out there before they take a listen to Skinwalker on June 28th?
I hope you take the time to have a listen to it, and I hope you enjoy the piece of art we bring into the world, because it's completely made start to finish by us, recorded, mixed, written, produced, the whole thing. So we hope you enjoy what we're bringing into the world.